howdy, hi! Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by to join me today. I really do appreciate it. My name is Ellie, and I'm a witch. This over here is my teaching assistant, Andy, and today is Monday, and on my channel that means it is Misheard History, and today's history topic is the Oakville Blobs. If you're not interested in history, however, I do have other series on my channels. On Sundays, I talk about cryptids, and on Tuesdays, I talk about true crime. So if any of that interests you, maybe hit the subscribe button because I have a lot of really fun videos coming up. But this one is weird and wacky and I want to get into it, so we're jumping in. Okay, so Oakville is a small town in Washington, hosting a population of less than 800 residents. Now, in the 90s, the town was known for lumber, railway, and agricultural industries. Much like the rest of Washington, they got rain for about 4 months of the year, but 1994 was a little different. So it did rain for 149 days that year, but 6 of those days, it wasn't just water. On the first weird weather day, it started raining in the morning, nothing unusual about it. It wasn't until people started leaving their houses that they realized something wasn't quite right. People saw that it wasn't falling rain, but rather a jelly substance. Now, police officer David Lacey had been on patrol at around 3 a.m. when the rain started. He didn't think much of it until he tried to use his wiper blades, which just smeared the substance and made it impossible to see the road. He was able to safely pull into a station and, using gloves, he tried to wipe the substance off with his hands. Now, this is the first known instance of human interaction with the blobs. He said the consistency was like jello and had no discernible smell. The next known interaction was when Dottie Hearn stepped outside after the rain had stopped. She immediately noticed large, fist-sized globs, which she initially thought were some kind of hail or snow, but when she picked it up, she saw it was very clearly gelatinous in texture. It was later that same day that people began getting sick and started to draw the conclusion that the illness came from the weird blobs. For Officer Lacey, he had an extreme shortness of breath, vomiting, and became very weak. He assumed it was due to the weird goo he had handled earlier in the day. For Dottie, she had nausea and dizziness to the point that her family found her collapsed on the bathroom floor. Now, Dottie was rushed to the hospital where she was diagnosed with an inner ear infection, while Officer Lacey recovered with no side effects. Now, Dottie's daughter was very smart and took samples of the blobs to the hospital, asking for the samples to be analyzed. The techs who analyzed the blobs were extremely confused as they found white blood cells likely human. They were not able to analyze the blobs any further, so called the State Department of Health. The Department of Health did not have much luck. They weren't able to find anything in the blobs like the hospital had, so they started trying to grow different types of bacteria using the blobs. So the bacteria test showed that the blobs contained 2 types of bacteria which are commonly found in the human digestive tract. At this point, microbiologist Michael McDowell began working on verifying if it was from a human or if maybe it had fallen from a passing aircraft. Now, the Federal Aviation Administration denied it being human in origin. When human waste is on board, it is chemically treated and no chemical traces were found in the blobs, but also they have incidents of human waste falling from airplanes, but since it is frozen, it shatters upon impact. The blobs did not, meaning it was not human in origin according to the FAA. As I said, it is not an isolated incident, but instead the blobs rained down a total of 6 times in 3 weeks. After every rainstorm, people were going to the hospital for identical symptoms Dottie and Officer Lacey had experienced. Unfortunately, after the 4th storm, there were many cats and dogs that were found dead as a result of ingesting the blobs. Now, Dottie herself had kept a sample of the blobs in her freezer, and a year after the initial incident, she took it to a private research lab. This new study yielded different results than the last. Under a powerful microscope, the microbiologists were able to find eukaryotic cells. For those of us who are long out of school, that is the basic cell required for life, meaning the blobs were alive, or at least had the defining features to be considered alive. Now, there is unfortunately no solid conclusion for this event, as the State Department confiscated all known samples and promptly lost them. There are some theories as to what happened, and you'll have to let me know what you believe because some of these are crazy. So the first theory is jellyfish bits. The Navy had been testing something off the coast a few weeks before the first rain of blobs, so some people were speculating that it was perhaps parts of jellyfish or other sea creatures that had been blown out of the water and began raining down on Oakville. Others are on board with it being military related, but instead of jellyfish, they think this is the result of some kind of weapons testing happening nearby. So both of these theories assume that the military had no idea the repercussions of what they were doing might be. Not everyone was so optimistic about the military's intentions. So What if it was on purpose? Some think that the time span of 3 weeks and 6 separate incidences seems less coincidental. For those who think it is suspicious, they have claimed that the military was testing biological weapons on Oakville and point to the illnesses in humans and deaths in animals as proof. Others think that there would have been more illnesses, or at least one human fatality, if it was truly a biological weapon being tested. And I guess I am obligated to say that the military has denied and continues to deny any involvement. While in the same vein as the military poisoning people, others think that it was a government-funded social experiment to test people's response to an unknown biological weapon. Requests for information have been denied, and the government obviously takes no responsibility for the event. It has also been posited that this was simply a prank, though this theory is not really believed because it doesn't answer the questions of what was the substance, why would somebody do that, how they transported it and launched the substance, and again, why? The more believable theory comes from other similar events where we see rains of very random things: frogs, snakes, fish. The difference is the unidentifiable substance, the health ramifications it clearly had, and the facts that we have never seen blobs rain down. People have related the substance to star jelly, though. Now, star jelly is a gelatinous substance that is found randomly all around the globe. Folklore has talked about star jelly, but they refer to it as fallen stars, so there is skepticism as to whether those stories are real. In our modern age, a star jelly is thought to be a type of algae that gets pulled up into the sky by wind, carried off towards the sea. Now, once the algae mixes with water, it becomes a jelly, which would then fall from the sky. This substance, though, has never officially been identified as star jelly, so it could definitely be something completely different. I also saw one theory that the blobs are horse semen, and that this whole town was just covered in horse semen. So that theory exists as well. There have not been any incidents up to today, and no lasting effects. The only notable thing is that for apparently 2 years following the blobs, the birth rates of twins increase in the area. Not necessarily related, but it might be, so I thought it was kind of interesting. And that is all that I have for you today. I hope that you enjoyed this very strange case. This one was fun to research because it was just weird and absurd, and there is no explanation. And almost all the theories were government or military. And we all know they'd never run up to it, so you can believe what you would like. And I don't believe the horse semen one, though. I'm just gonna throw that one out there. It is by far the most interesting one that I found. But I'm sorry, I think it's the government or the military. And again, I am obligated to say that they have denied any responsibility or involvement in the situation. But I hope that you guys liked today's video. If I missed anything or you know any more facts or you were there, please let me know because this was weird. And I feel like more people should know about it. If you liked today's video, if you want to hit that thumbs up button, and if you want to see more of us, then maybe subscribe or follow Andy or myself on Instagram. He's more active than I am. If you have any recommendations for history cases, please let me know. I need to do all this stuff on my walls at some point. I keep researching other topics though. Like, I have a lot of interesting ones, and I just forget that they exist. So I will eventually get to all of these. Promise. But yeah, if you have any cool history topics, let me know, especially like ones that aren't particularly well known. Those have been really interesting to get into. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye!